Okay, welcome back, guys. Extremely sorry to know that, Azhar. I mean, of course, I know, but my intention was never to cause any disruption. But anyway, so it's great that now, I mean, it's not great. Let me clarify. It's so sad that it's raining in the mat, so you can concentrate on your studies now and attend the class. Good for me. Let more focus on the class. Okay, so now coming to the types of voters. Types of voters. So, to cut a long story short, sir, reservation of SC/ST to House of People also mentioned in Article 330. The reservation criteria is mentioned in Article 330 only. As per Article 330, we have the reservation. But how many seats are allocated to SCs? How many to STs? That is mentioned under RPA 1950, right? Difference. So, first up, a very important question to be addressed is types of voters in our country. So we have not three, but four types of voters. Basically, I'll tell you the fourth one also. So, first is the general voter, service voter, NRI voter, right? NRI, non resident Indian. Anybody who lives in India for less than 182 days. An Indian citizen who lives in India for less than 182 days is known as an NRI, non-resident Indian. Okay. Now, these NRIs, remember those people who, when they go to a foreign country and come back, they have a change accent. Same NRIs. So, first up, we have the general voter. General voters, people like you and me, there is no option for us but to be personally present on the polling booth. So we have been given the option of physical voting, that go to the booth and cast your vote. Second category of voters is service voters. Service voters are people who either belong to armed forces or police outside the state. So while on election duty, if the police of one state has been sent to some other state to perform election duty, they also are called service voters. And Government of India employees outside India. Some of you will become IFS officers, Indian Foreign Service officers. Of course, for all of you, you will have two options. Choose either physical voting or choose from either postal ballot or proxy. Are we clear? Now, what is a postal ballot? Meaning you will do what? You will be given a form. You have to mark your preference and send the form via post, via courier. That is the postal ballot. When it comes to proxy, what's the concept of proxy? Proxy refers to any person who you appoint or choose on your behalf. That person will go and mark your vote, just like in your college days. When you were not in the class, some friend of yours would go and sit in the class and try to mark the attendance for you, would get caught and get scolded, right? In this case, it is allowed. You can choose any person to be the proxy. Clear? Now, third is Government of India employees outside the country. Sorry, these three people, these three categories have this option of physical voting or postal ballot or proxy. Now, the third category of voters, non-resident Indians, NRIs. Reside in India for less than 182 days. These are Indian citizens, yet they are allowed to cast their vote because Indian citizens, and they are living outside the country, but they have been given the option that okay, you can come and vote. So, what are the options that the NRIs have? Of course, physical voting. That's an option everybody has. Come back to the polling booth. Come back to the polling booth and cast your vote. Now, of course, if you go to the polling booth, if you go to a foreign country, USA, Australia, see Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, etc., no problem. It's very close by. But if you have to go to USA, Australia, etc., the ticket prices are very high. Coming back for one day and voting and going back for, say, let's say you're a student, you have just joined some company, not much of money also with you. That's a huge challenge. So, when it comes to physical voting, a very, very important element of physical voting is also this aspect of money being a huge impediment for these NRIs to come back and vote. So, what is the option that we give them? E-postal ballot. E-postal ballot is given. What is e-postal ballot? E stands for electronic. Electronic postal ballot. So, what happened was this concept of e-postal ballot was created by or was introduced at the behest of Supreme Court via Nagendra Chindam case of 2015. As per this judgment, the election commission was asked that please make sure that you provide for some alternative for the NRIs to vote. Now, what is this e-postal ballot? Not online voting. It is not Indian Idol. Clear? And if you try to make a website where voting is being done, the website can be hacked in seconds. Websites of Pentagon, websites of Chinese Communist Party, Russian intelligence websites, they are all hacked within minutes. This can be hacked very easy. E, electronic part means what? You will be given the PDF of the voter form. That's it. Electronic part is done. You can download that PDF online. That's it. That is the electronic part of e-postal ballot. Done. Now the postal ballot is you have to mark the preference. Once you download the form, mark your preference, send it via post. Postal ballot. But let me just tell you, even this is yet to be implemented. Yet to be implemented. Election Commission says that there are a lot of logistic challenges because we cannot make available the form to people beforehand. It has to be done at a set time only, and then from all across the globe, people will send their votes. Will we be able to get the votes on time or not? What if some vote reaches us after some time? The people can raise concerns, etc. So there's a lot of logistic issue. That is why this is yet to be implemented. So currently, NRIs have no option but to personally come back and cast their vote. No alternative. Clear? That's there as far as the voting is concerned. There is one more category of voters recently added, and that category is absentee voter. This is since 2019. Since 2019, we have one more category of voters called absentee voters. Who are these absentee voters? Absentee voters are of three kinds. Number one, two, and three. Number one, absentee voter. All those people who are involved in the delivery of essential services. Absentee voter. Okay. Number two, those people who are disabled, persons with disabilities. PWDs. And those senior citizens who are above 80 years of age. So when you're above 80, you will be called an absentee voter. And for all these people, you have the alternative. And what is that? Postal ballot. Postal ballot is used. Clear? So these are the four types of voters in the country. Beyond that, when you want to be a voter uh, for registration as a voter, what is required? For registration as a voter, number one, you have to be a citizen of the country. Number two, age factor. What the age? 18 or above. And number 3, you have to be an ordinary resident of the area. Ordinary resident of the area. So that is with respect to the concept of being registered as a voter, right? Are we clear on this, everybody? Shakti, proxy allowed for NRI, no Shakti. Rama Krishtanaya. Yes, yes, students going to USA, if you are above 18, Indian citizen, NRI. Nikhil, there should be app for voting. App could have a security concerns, Nikhil. That's the main problem. Will we be able to make an app which would be free from any kind of manipulation, which will satisfy all the parties? Because the problem is EVMs. Look at EVMs. They are machines which are uh, completely separate and free from any kind of external influence. But still, if a party loses, they keep on crying EVM is wrong. Karan, there is no definition of who is an ordinary resident, but ideally, the meaning is that if you are residing in a place for a long period of time, you are paying the electricity bill there, you are paying a water bill there, you have some rental agreement there, you have some flat there, ordinary resident. Matloob, yes, yes, absentee voter has been implemented. Shahid, government teachers, same thing, proxy. Sorry, postal ballot. Okay, postal ballot. I will finish all global challenges in 5 months only, Vijay. In what sense, Vijay? What global challenge are you facing? Okay, Mitali, what does delivery of essential service? Delivery of essential services, if you are a doctor, if you are, say, a postman, maybe in the fire department, etc., people who are involved in the delivery of essential services. Police outside the state, Kalyani, when let's say elections are being conducted, say in your neighboring state, say you are from Tamil Nadu and elections are there in Madhya Pradesh. So your state police can be sent to MP to conduct the elections or help in the management of elections. Now they will be called what? Police outside the state. So if in case elections take place in your state also, they will get the chance of using postal ballot or having proxy voting. Ganesh, sir, voter ID is mandatory, sir. No Parshuram. That will not be possible. You have to get registered as a proxy voter or a postal ballot voter to get that form. Okay. Now, we'll just for a small point of time move towards RPA 51. So we'll move a bit back and forth in RPA 50 and 51 with respect to certain things. So one very important point that I am going to explain to you now is this right to vote. Voting is necessary for every person, sir. If a person not vote to anyone, may I think nothing has happened. Okay. Voting is very important, Pavitra. We should vote. But what's your point? Oh, generally sharing. Oh, great. Right to vote. RPA 1951 has a section 62. This is a section which gives to us, the citizens of the country, the right to vote. All the citizens whose names are entered in the electoral roll of any constituency shall be entitled to vote in that constituency. This is the right to vote. Right to vote, that is why, is a statutory right. it is a huge misconception that right to vote is a constitutional right. It is not. It's a statutory right. And I'll just explain this point, and I would end the story here itself by explaining to you how this right to vote comes along. So, right to vote. In 1997, sorry, in 2006, in the Kuldeep Nair case, Supreme Court 5-judge bench has upheld that right to vote is a statutory right. So this was a judgment where Supreme Court said that right to vote comes from RPA and it is a 5-judge bench. It is a statutory right. Now, there have been some recent concerns with respect to voting right. So, number one, in the Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay case, this year only, this was a case in front of a 3-judge bench where one judge, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, gave his opinion that right to vote is a part of expressing yourself, expressing your opinion, expressing your choice. So it should be seen to be a part of the freedom of speech and expression. Clear? So that should be seen as a part of Article 19, 1A, a fundamental right. But that was just his opinion. Anyway, it was a 3-judge bench judgment only. It could never overturn a 5-judge bench judgment. Later on in the Anup Barnwal case, 4 out of 5 judges again expressed their opinion that right to vote should at least be a constitutional right. But they have constantly been mentioning that right to vote, this is just our opinion. They have not given any kind of judgment. So we need a 7-judge bench to at least clarify that right to vote is a constitutional or fundamental right. Till then, right to vote will stand to be a statutory right as per the Kuldeep Nair judgment of 2006. I hope this ends any discussion and debate on right to vote. If you have any kind of issue concern, please revisit this small part of the video and watch it again. Go and read all the judgments. You'll get to know that right to vote is just a statutory right. Now, point number 1 is done. You are not allowed to vote more than once. Of course, you can vote only once in a constituency. You're not allowed to vote from multiple constituencies also. You are not allowed to vote more than once in the same election. And also, it's not that right now you go and vote in one constituency. Tomorrow, you catch a train, go to some other constituency and vote there also. No. One person, one vote. That's the idea. Clear? Of course, the exception is a proxy voter. Proxy voter can vote for somebody else also. And very, very important, you are not allowed to vote if you are under the lawful custody of the police. Meaning, what is lawful custody of police? It can be of two kinds. Lawful custody can be of two kinds. One is known as police custody. The other is known as judicial custody. What is judicial custody? Meaning you are in the judge's house? Of course not. When you are sent to jail You are under judicial custody because the judge has the power to send you to jail. Police custody means police lockup. So the police lockup in the police station, it's a police custody. The jail is a judicial custody. If you are under police lawful custody of police, either in police lockup or in jail, you are not allowed to vote. The point is not whether you are guilty or accused. We don't care. If you are in the jail, can't vote. Accused, can't vote. Criminal, can't vote. We don't care. Under police custody, can't vote. Under judicial custody, can't vote. Are we clear on this? See, Ramakrishnaya, please knows what makes difference if an MLA is in lawful custody. No, if you are in lawful custody, you cannot vote anywhere. Krishna, sir, in the case of general voter booths applies. Okay, I'll discuss that shortly. We'll come to that. Krishna. Tulsi, prisoners can vote? No, prisoners cannot vote. Eman, it means under trial can vote? Please tell me, all of you here, can under trials vote? What do you think? Who is an under trial? Under trial is somebody in the jail. Can under trial vote? Vedant, I want an answer. Can under trial vote? Look at this. Under trials cannot vote. If you are inside the jail, you cannot vote. Simple. No confusion. Are we clear? Okay. Now, coming to disqualification from voting. Now we are back to RPA 1950. We are just discussing that for a small period of time. Now we are back to RPA 1950. We are discussing section 16 of RPA 1950. How will you be disqualified? How will your voting right be taken away? If you are not a citizen, disqualified. If you have gone crazy, unsound mind, disqualified. Okay. Unsound mind refers to the court has given the certificate of unsound mind. Okay. That's an unsound. Not that people call you crazy. That doesn't make you crazy. You may be crazy, but the court has to certify that you are of unsound mind. Or if you are held guilty under the following offenses, your voting right goes away. IPC section 171E. This is the offense of bribery. Then the judge can give you punishment based on which your voting right can be taken away. 171F. This is impersonation in elections. What is impersonation in election? Impersonation. You pretend to be somebody else. And what steps are taken to prevent this? So that you vote only for yourself. What steps are taken? Point number 1. Don't you have this thing called epic? What is the meaning of epic? Any idea? Election photo identity card. You popularly know this as voter ID card. It is actually called epic. Voter ID card. Are we clear? So from today onwards, don't call it voter ID card, call it epic. Clear? Voter ID card is meant for kids. You are legendary people. use EPIC, election photo identity card. So when you go to the polling booth, you have the EPIC, which is shown to the person there, and then he tries to match your face with that in the voter ID card, the EPIC, which will never match, because nobody is as bad as they appear to be in the voter ID card, nor are they as good as they look in Instagram. Both things are correct, right? So don't worry. Voter ID card is the worst possible picture a human being can have. We are yet to find that amazing person who is looking good in voter ID card. We have to find that person who looks good in voter ID card, and we have to, that will be the true mark of a photogenic face. Same goes for, yes, Krishna, Aadhaar card also, right? So we don't know what kind of mechanism is used, that the photos are the worst. Oh, Anuranjan, I am looking very good in voter ID card. Kalyani's Aadhaar has good pics. Okay, okay, great. Let others be the judge of that, not you, right? Okay. They should use Oppo Vivo. No, then that will be a completely painted face, right? Oppo Vivo and such apps, they are completely racist. They always make you fair. Okay. Jyotirmai also says I'm looking very good in the voter ID card. We'll have to verify that. We can't trust your statements. Okay. Second thing that is there to ensure that there is no such problem of impersonation, we have indelible ink. Indelible ink. What is that indelible ink? The silver nitrate compound that is used on your left hand index finger is called that indelible ink, right? The black mark. So that is a mark of you having voted. It's a silver nitrate compound, AgNO3, which is manufactured by our uh, government only. It's a PSU, Karnataka based state PSU called Mysore Paints and Varnish Limited. That is what is that is a company which manufactures this indelible ink, which is put on your left hand index finger, which gives you that black mark. And somebody is asking me about the proxy voter. So if you are a voter, it is put on your left hand index finger. If you are a proxy voter, it is put on your left hand middle finger. I would not show that finger, but please understand, for reasons completely irrelevant. But the next finger is what is a finger on which the mark is made if you are a proxy voter, right? And also, in any case, let's say there's somebody who is missing a finger, missing an arm. There are various parts of the body which are mentioned there where you can place that, or where you can mark to showcase that the person has not, or person has voted. Clear? Uh, Jayanta, if someone not vote, don't vote. No problem. Nothing happens if you don't vote. Vijay, can you please repeat again? Sir, what to repeat? That the idea is that when you go to polling booth, sir, the polling officers there, they will mark in your finger, left hand index finger, a mark with ink, and that ink becomes black because it is silver compound, right? This showcases that you have voted already, and it avoids repetition of votes. If you are a proxy voter, it is, the mark is put in the next finger, that is the middle finger of the same hand. If somebody does not have a finger or arm, then various parts of the body like hair, etc., that mark can be made. So it is not that physically handicapped people are not covered. They also are covered with various provisions to mark, place the mark on their body. Okay. Single person can vote of his or her proxy. Of course, then who will vote for the proxy? Proxy means other person only, right? So you vote for yourself and for the person who has chosen you as a proxy also. Are we clear, Mr. Vijay? Jayant, person who is on bail can vote? Yes, they can vote. Can a candidate contest election when he is in custody? Yes, they can contest. Omkar, once only. Just once. Silam Barasai, if we did not vote and someone else will vote without our knowledge, did you just watch Sarkar or what? Satish, it's only for elections. Silam Barsi, it may not be always possible, but it can be done. Manipulation is possible. Now, then we have section 125 of RPA. This is a section where you are booked for promoting enmity between various groups. Between groups or classes, either based on religion, based on caste, based on class, etc. Right? Then section 135. If you try to remove the ballot paper, removal of ballot paper. So earlier we did not have the concept of these EVMs. We had ballot boxes. These ballot boxes had, you had the proper ballot paper, a piece of paper with the symbol of various parties, and you had to stamp besides the symbol of that party, right? So you have to fold it and put it in the ballot paper. So sometimes booth would be captured, right? So what would happen? The people would come, these gundas, the mawalis, rowdy fellows would come and would pour ink inside the ballot paper to destroy all the votes. They'll take the ballot box only and run away from there. These things used to happen, right? Or section 136, if you are trying to tamper with the voting equipment, destroying or tampering with the voting equipment. So when you go to the polling booth, please press the EVM only once. Don't think that, oh, my favorite leader, press it 10 times quickly. Only one vote is registered. Don't press it 10 times. If you do all this drama trying to be inquisitive, how does the EVM look like? Let me search here and there. Oh, this button, there, that button. If the polling officer sees you, the presiding officer, they can make a note of it and your voting rights can be taken away. For how long? That the election commission decides. Clear? If you are punished by court, then the court decides, or else the election commission decides for how long your voting right can be taken away. Are we clear? Somebody had asked this question also, that for how long convicted people banned from voting. Yes, so depends. Then one more is that if you are held guilty of a corrupt practice, then your voting right can be taken away, but for maximum 6 years only, not more than that. What's a corrupt practice? Don't think that corrupt practice is whatever you feel uh, is the relationship to corruption. No, no, there is no relationship to corruption. Corrupt practice has a proper definition. If you refer to section 123, the definition of corrupt practice is mentioned under section 123 of RPA 1951. Okay, and in this definition, They talk about various things. For example, bribing a voter or bribing a candidate, it's a corrupt practice. Or influencing, threatening voter or candidate, or booth capturing, or using government resources. So if you are the ruling party minister and you are using government resources, government machinery to further your prospects of winning the election, that's also called corrupt practice. Indira Gandhi was held guilty of this only. Section 123, subsection 7. Indira Gandhi was using government resources, government officers to help her win the elections in Raebareli in 1971, as found by the High Court, and her election was declared void. So, if one has been held guilty of corrupt practices, not more than 6 years, voting right goes away. And lastly, your voting right will go away if you are under the lawful custody of the police. Clear? But the only exception is PDL. What is the meaning of PDL? PDL, preventive detention laws. So, what are these laws? We'll discuss them later on under Article 22. Just to give you a basic idea, there are some. See, normally what happens is when you commit a crime, you are punished. You are arrested at least by the police. That is called punitive detention, right? When the crime has been committed, the police has a right to make some arrests. But when somebody is arrested even before a crime has been committed, that's called preventive detention. In order to prevent you from committing a crime, you are being arrested. Preventive detention. So, if you are arrested under such laws, then you can vote. But otherwise, you can't vote under police custody. So, don't worry, we'll discuss that in detail later on. So, I would refrain from addressing concerns here, ignore it for now. Which also means that under trials can't vote. But people out on bail, they can vote, right? People out on bail can vote. People in jail can't vote. Inequality, rich, poor, divide, visible here only. Yes or no? That's the thing. I mean, see, in our country, if you are an accused, you can't vote. You go to Canada, Switzerland, Spain, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Ireland, South Africa, Croatia, Latvia, recently France. Here, even convicts are allowed to vote. Criminals, guilty. But in our country, even if you are in jail, you can't vote, whether accused or not. Voting rights taken away. The election commission says that there will be administrative and logistic challenges how to allow them to vote. See, you can't install EVMs in the jail because jail is not a place which is open to media, etc. Jail is a place which is under the state government. State government can simply ask the jailer, come on, warden, come here, use your stick, every vote for me only. Or you can't tell all the prisoners, guys, let's do one thing, go back and vote, okay, and then come back safely after voting. That may not happen. So logistic challenges are there with respect to voting. Anyway, so that is there. However, let me just tell you something. Under trials can contest elections. They can't vote. Clear? In fact, there's a very popular but very old judgment. Gaurav, how criminals are fighting elections? Arey sir, I'm telling they can't vote. They can contest. Back in, oh, Sanchit is back. Hello, Sanchit. Randomly posting things. Direct democracy ka definition. False disclosure definition. Who is this fellow? Sanchit. Anyway, now he'll spam the chat section. We'll have to find a solution for this if this continues. Okay, so as somebody just said, I think Gaurav, that how do criminals fight elections? Let me tell you a small story, though it's a very old piece of information now, but you can take a running note on this in case you want to. Back in 2004, Patna High Court gave a judgment that under trials can't contest elections. Why? Patna High Court said that if you are an under trial, meaning in the jail, you cannot vote. Right? This means you are not a voter. This means you are not an elector. If you are not an elector only, one criteria to contest elections is that your name should be in the voter list of any parliamentary constituency, which is not there. You are not a voter. So voting rights taken away. This judgment of Patna High Court was challenged in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court put a stay order on this judgment. After 9 years, Supreme Court again gave a judgment that was a CEC, Chief Election Commissioner versus Jan Chaukidar, the very famous Jan Chaukidar case. In that Jan Chaukidar case, Supreme Court said that the if you are not a voter, you are not elector and you can't contest. So Supreme Court actually upheld the what? Upheld the Patna High Court's judgment. And from that day onwards, people in jail could not contest elections. When this judgment was passed, within not three, but I think 1.5 or 2 weeks, within just few weeks of this judgment, the sorry, 1.5 or 2 months, not weeks, 2 months of this judgment, the parliament amended the RPA and said that if your name is in the voter list, you will be allowed to vote. Just because you are in jail does not take away the right to contest elections, right? So every person whose name is in the electoral roll does not cease to be an elector, so they have the right to contest elections. So inside the jail you may not get the right to vote, but you have a right to contest elections. Clear? This was the amendment made by the parliament to RPA, allowing people inside jail to contest by passing the Jan Chaukidar case of 2013. That is why people in jail cannot vote but can contest. Are we clear? Everyone? No doubt? Gaurav, what am I discussing? What are you asking, sir? Please have some patience. One nation, one election, a question in UPSC prelim mains has already been asked. In this slide only, I have given a link to a video lecture on YouTube, which was uploaded. You can watch that video. It's a full 1 hour video with comprehensive discussion on everything, right? For one nation, one election. See, I cannot help you in impressing your friends randomly. I can only help you in clearing the examination. And we have to go through proper procedure, step by step. Just because something comes in news and you have to know it to impress your friends, I am the wrong person, right? And you should also forget this idea. Focus on impressing the evaluator in the examination. Okay? You have to sometimes lose the battles to win the war. One goal. You won't have to impress anybody on a daily basis if you clear the examination. Uh, okay, so now let's move on and understand the RPA 1951. See, I think you all are aware of the EVM, the electronic voting machine, nothing much to discuss there. It is manufactured by the Bharat Electronics Limited, Bangalore based, and the ECIL, Electronics Corporation of India Limited, from Hyderabad. And the design was made by A.G. Rao and Ravi Puvaya from IIT Bombay, professors. And for the first time, it was used in 1982, 81, 82 in the North Parvar Assembly, that is under in Ernakulam constituency. But because it was not mentioned in the constitution, in the RPA, so repolling had to be done. Then finally in 1989, the RPA was amended to allow the use of EVMs. So from there, we have started using EVMs. EVMs are stand-alone devices. EVMs do not have any frequency receiver, any data recorder, right? EVMs can't be hacked. Clear? Now, uh, some points. Point number one, there are a lot of people who make all these allegations that EVM can be hacked, etc., that EVMs can be replaced, the display of the machine can be replaced, and then the signal can be controlled with Bluetooth. Then, when the EVMs are stored in the strong room, the chips can be rewritten, the chips can be replaced, and nobody can verify the software of the EVM because the source code is confidential. Now, these are just mere allegations. If you have to find fault, you can find fault in anything. The defense is that functional checks are done. Switches, cables, buttons, latches, all things are checked before handing out the EVM. Then random check is done. Mock polls are done on 5% EVMs. Then EVMs are randomly allocated to the constituency and booth. Then, even on the polling booth, in the presence of the candidate, a dry run is done. 50 mock votes are cast on each EVM to make sure that the EVM is functioning properly. So, mock election is also conducted. Once again, various parts are sealed. What EVM machine will you get? That is never known till the time of polling, right? Then the EVMs are always handled under the armed escorts. So if after this also somebody is not satisfied, we can never satisfy them. And sadly, every party which loses election keeps on crying EVM is bad, but when they win the election, their lips are sealed on EVMs. This is very shameful for our politicians. When you lose, you have to accept that you have lost. Don't sound like a crybaby that, oh, EVM was wrong, every vote Modi. But if people are voting for the person, he'll win the election. Did not win the election in Karnataka. Why this silence on EVMs? So the point is that we have to understand that it's almost impossible. I say almost because who knows, to hack the EVM. This is just a crybaby thing that EVMs are wrong and all. Anyway, now let's move on to RPA 1951. RPA 1951 deals with the conduct of elections to Lok Sabha, the state legislature, the qualification, the disqualification of the members, the corrupt practices, and the decisions of doubts and disputes. All these things are mentioned under RPA 1951. Okay, now when it comes to RPA 1951, again the same story. We have various parts, various sections, not really important. We look at the qualifications first. What is the qualification to be an MP? So, qualification to be a member of Council of States. As we know very well, you have to be an elector for a parliamentary constituency. Now, before 2003, if you wanted to be a member of Rajya Sabha, right, you should have belonged to the same state. To represent a state in the Rajya Sabha belong to the same state. For example, the current finance minister of India, she belongs to which house? Tell me. Nirmala Sitaraman belongs to which house? Rajya Sabha. Very good. She is a member of Rajya Sabha, but which state does she belong to? Which state is she from? She belongs to Tamil Nadu. Now, which state is she representing in the Rajya Sabha? Karnataka. So, Nirmala Sitaraman belongs to Tamil Nadu but represents Karnataka in the Rajya Sabha. Manmohan Singh, maybe he belonged to Punjab or Delhi, and he represents Rajasthan in the Rajya Sabha, or earlier Assam in the Rajya Sabha. This is all allowed only since 2003. Before that, if you had to, let's say, for example, Nirmala Sitaraman only. If Nirmala Sitaraman had to be an MP in the Rajya Sabha, she should have been chosen by MLAs of Tamil Nadu only. That was the criteria, right? You had to belong to the state. You should have been a resident of the state only. But since 2003, we have modified this. There was an ethics committee, 1998, which gave a recommendation that, see, there's no point. Why this criteria? Because what happens is, because of this criteria, most of these politicians, they have a house in some state. They'll take a house on rent, and then they'll say, I'm living here. Now I'm a resident here. Now my name is in the voter list there. So please elect me. It is just a useless step that they take. So remove this criteria. Your name should be in the voter list of any parliamentary constituency anywhere in the country, and you can represent any other state. It is allowed only since 2003. Are we clear on this? Any doubt here? Great. Now, for qualification for membership of House of People, that is the Lok Sabha, you have to be an elector for a parliamentary constituency. Means same thing, same thing. You have to be a voter. Your name should be in the voter list of any Lok Sabha constituency anywhere in the country. Anywhere in the country. Now, to be an SC/ST or to contest from the seat reserved for SC/ST, what's the criteria? You should belong to SC/ST community. So I can only contest from a reserved constituency if I belong to that category. Let's say this seat is a reserved seat for a scheduled caste person. So my name should be in the list of people who are categorized as scheduled caste in the country. There's a list, with that list is called scheduled caste as a constitution scheduled caste order 1950. This list contains names of all the scheduled caste categories uh, listed state-wise. So if my name is there, I will be allowed to contest from a reserved constituency. Okay. Same goes for assembly also. If you want to be a member of the assembly, then you should be a voter, but in the same assembly constituency. So if I belong to, say, Kerala, for example, let's take an example, and my name is in the voter list in Kerala, I can contest for the post of MP from UP also, but I cannot contest for the post of MLA in UP. Are we clear? If my name is in the voter list in Kerala, I have full right to contest for the post of MP from UP constituency. But for when it comes to MLAs, then I have to contest elections from that particular state only. So, elector for an assembly constituency in that state. And for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, I have to be categorized as a member of SC or ST community from that state only. Clear? And if I want to be a member of the council, again the same thing. My name should be there in the voter list of that state constituency. And for governor's nomination, I need to be an ordinary resident in the state. What is this governor's nomination? Tell me, how many seats are nominated by the governor in the council? Tell me. 12. 2. All wrong answer so far. All okay. One correct answer. Khambapati. Just one right answer so far. Gaurav. Two right answers. Wrong answers. Revision is going on. Amazing. Governor's nomination in the Legislative Council. What are you doing, guys? 1/6. Remember, the council, 1/3 are chosen by MLAs, 1/3 by MLCs. Shahid, now it's too late. You wrote the answer no any, and now you're writing 1/6. So sweet. 1/3 by MLAs, 1/3 by local bodies, 1/12 by graduates, 1/12 by teachers, and then 1/6 by governor nomination. Okay. Now coming to what is the most important element of RPA. In the last 5-6 years, four times a question has been asked on this topic. This is the favorite topic of UPSC. Favorite. Gaurav sir, how Rajya Sabha elections are taken? Gaurav, please watch the chapter Parliament. Okay. So now qualification and disqualification. Article 102 says that Article 102 says that the MPs can be disqualified on the grounds of bankruptcy, unsound mind, office of profit, not being a citizen, or if he is so disqualified by or under any law made by Parliament. Law made by Parliament. So, yes, Parliament has made a law. And what's the law? The law is RPA 1951. This has section 8, 8A, 9, 9A, 10, 10A. Mug up all these sections. It is important. Are you able to comprehend my statement? Yes or no? Please write. Please mug up all the sections. I am very serious about it. Just read it 10-15 times and you will remember it. Okay? So now we'll see one by one what are the disqualifications. The first one is section 8. Section 8 has 3 subsections. Now please hear me very patiently. Not at all confusing, so we will not create a confusion. We will help you understand how this section functions. Section 8. 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. What is 8.1? 8.1 deals with a very important element. Let me explain to you. If you are convicted of, if you are held guilty, convicted Now we are discussing how will somebody be disqualified from contesting elections. So under section 8.1 there are some laws mentioned. We'll discuss what laws they are. If you are held guilty under any of those laws, committing a wrong under any of those laws, then whether you are given a fine or jail of 1 day or jail of 1 lakh days, we don't care. Conviction under certain offenses with or without jail, whether you are given jail sentence or just fine, we don't care. If the court holds you guilty, you are immediately disqualified. Disqualified for how many years? You are disqualified for the jail term plus 6 more years. If there is any jail term involved, then that jail term and 6 extra years you are disqualified. Disqualified from what? Disqualified from contesting elections. Second thing, if you are convicted, held guilty, conviction under some other type of cases. What cases I'll tell you shortly. With minimum 6 months of jail. How many months of jail? 6 months of jail. Then you will be disqualified for how many years? Again, jail term plus 6 years. Extra 6 years. Whatever jail is given, you are not allowed to contest elections. Extra 6 years. And if you are convicted under all other offenses, there are so many offenses in the country, but with minimum 2 years jail, then again the same story, you will be disqualified for the jail term plus extra 6 years. Section 8.1, section 8.2, section 8.3. Did we understand these 3 sections? I'll explain to you. This is section 8.1. All these laws are mentioned here. Just a few laws, I'm giving examples. Various sections of IPC, like section 153A, offense of promoting enmity between different groups, 171E, bribery, 171F, impersonation during elections, 376 A, B, C, D, all are offenses relating to rape. 498A, these are domestic violence kind of cases. Section 505, if you try to create animosity amongst people on a religious place of worship. So if you are booked under all these laws and the court finds you guilty, or under UPA, the court finds you guilty, or under PCRA, this is the Untouchability Act, or NDPS Act, Aryan Khan case, or Prevention of Corruption Act, or Commission of Sati Act. Under these laws, if the court finds you guilty, we don't care whether the court gives you 1 day punishment, 1 year punishment, 10 years punishment, or gives you no jail but only fine. We don't care. You are disqualified from contesting elections. Are we clear? These two were added in 2003. Are we clear, guys? Please type yes or no. All yes? No no's? Okay. This was section 8.1. But section 8.2 says that there are some other type of offenses. If you are found guilty under those offenses, then you have to be given at least 6 months of jail. Only then will the disqualification come into play. So, which offenses? These four offenses. If you are found guilty under Drugs and Cosmetics Act, Essential Commodities Act, Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, Dowry Prohibition Act, if the court finds you guilty and gives you at least how much jail? Minimum 6 months of jail. Only then will you be disqualified. For how much time? Jail term plus extra 6 years. Drugs and Cosmetics Act, Essential Commodities Act, if you are found to be hoarding, black marketing essential commodities like say oxygen cylinders only, that's when this comes into picture. Or Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, food adulteration, if you are found mixing adulterants in food. What is some example of a food adulterant? Tell me. Most common example, water in milk, or maybe milk in water. Okay, brick powder in red chilies. Fair enough. Papaya seeds in black pepper. And one very weird kind of food adulterant is horse dung in coriander powder. Okay, horse dung in coriander powder. So when you add more coriander powder, flavorful, amazing. Please be sure what you are adding is actually coriander powder only. The flavor you are getting is of coriander powder only, not of something else. Anyway, so these kind of things. And Dowry Prohibition Act, some of you here want to clear the exam to get the dowry. Those days are gone, right? Dowry Prohibition Act, is there anything unique about this law? Anything unique? No? Dowry Prohibition Act was the first ever law to be passed in a joint session. Yes, Khambapati, very good. Joint session. So anyway, when you are held guilty under these laws and you are given the punishment of 4 months of jail, tell me, for how long will you be disqualified? If you are held guilty of Dowry Prohibition Act and you are given 4 months of jail sentence, for how long will you be disqualified? Only one correct answer. That is Ravi. Guys, what are you doing? Matloob, Eman, Niranjan, very good. Jayant, disqualification only kicks in when the punishment is 6 months. If you are given 4 months of punishment, no disqualification, no problem. Are we clear? The disqualification only comes into play if you are given at least 6 months of jail. Please read this. Conviction under the offense with minimum this month of jail. Are we clear now? Everybody? Everyone? Okay. Now my question to you is, if you are given 3 months of jail under PCRA, for how long will you be disqualified? 3 months of jail. For how long will you be disqualified? You will be no disqualification. Yes, guys, under these laws, with or without jail, we don't care. Disqualification is jail term plus 6 years. So if you are given 3 months of jail, this means the court has found you guilty. If you are found guilty here, it is automatic disqualification. 3 months of jail term plus extra 6 years of disqualification. Are we clear now? Is there still some doubt? I hope now we won't be confused. And lastly, these are just handful of laws. There are so many other laws: assault, harassment, robbery, murder, etc. If you are held guilty under any other offense, then you have to be given at least 2 years of punishment. A person convicted of any offense and sentenced to imprisonment for not less than 2 years, only then will you be disqualified. Are we clear, everybody? So, our innocent Mr. Rahul Gandhi, he was held guilty under a law called defamation, and defamation is under IPC section 499 and section 500. Under section 500, the maximum punishment under defamation is 2 years. Rahul Gandhi was given the jail sentence of 2 years, which means what? Not less than 2 years kicks in. Hence, he was disqualified for 2 years plus extra 6 years. Later on, Supreme Court cancelled the jail punishment. So if there is no jail for 2 years, you can't be disqualified. Are we clear? One more answer or question. If you are held guilty of assaulting somebody and you are given a punishment of 7 months, 7 months of jail, for how long will you not be allowed to contest elections? If you are given punishment of 7 months of jail for assaulting somebody, for how long will you not be allowed to contest elections? Again, guys, the minimum jail has to be 2 years here. It's only 7 months. No disqualification. You are allowed to contest. Don't write 7 months plus 6 years. It has to be 2 years plus 6 years. If this criteria is not met, no disqualification. Are we clear? Everybody. One more question. If you are held guilty under Essential Commodities Act and you are given punishment of 5 months of jail, tell me for how long are you not allowed to contest? Karan, please read. Satish, what are you doing? Brajneet, Muskan, Jyotirmayi, Ganesh, Nikhil. If you are being disqualified for 5 months or being given jail punishment of 5 months under this law, you are allowed to contest because disqualification kicks in when you are given jail of at least 6 months. You are allowed to contest, no problem. Are we clear now? Those who said 6 plus 5 and all, you tell me. Others, you keep quiet. Those people are silent. हाँ जी, मुस्कान, सतीश, etc. Are we clear now? Okay, great. One last point. One last point. If you are held guilty of pickpocketing and you are given a punishment of 1 year, 10 months, that means 22 months of jail sentence. 22 months of jail sentence for pickpocketing, stealing somebody's purse. For how long will you be disqualified? Sir, Jyotirmai, what are you doing, sir? You are writing 2 years. Okay, others I think have understood. Oh, Gaurav is also there. Guys, now how do I help you understand? Tell me now. What more should I do? If you are given 22 months of jail, that is less than 2 years of jail, for a crime which is an ordinary crime, then this 2 year thing does not come into picture only. You have to be given at least 2 years of jail sentence. If there is any lesser punishment, you are not disqualified from contesting elections. Are we clear, Gaurav? Jyotirmai? Two people only. Okay, done finally. Clear? This is the disqualification. Mug up all the points. Are we clear? I'm not saying mug up all the points here, at least mug up 3-4 examples here, 1 or 2 examples here, mug up this proper page. Clear? It's very easy. Just write it 3 or 4 times and you'll know. Section 8. So interestingly, back in the case of section 8, there used to be section 8.4 also. What the section said was, if at any point of time a sitting MP, MLA, MLC becomes disqualified under any section 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, if they appealed in a high court challenging the lower court judgment, they would not be disqualified. Example: Rahul Gandhi was held guilty by a local court, by a subordinate court, on ground of defamation and was given 2 years of jail sentence. The moment he was given 2 years of jail sentence, this section 8.3 comes into picture, means he is disqualified now from contesting elections for 2 years plus extra 6 years. Now what happens? Section 8.4 says that if Rahul Gandhi approaches the High Court or the higher court and files a case within 3 months, the disqualification is cancelled. Whether the higher court finds him guilty or not, that is not a concern. Just appeal and no disqualification. Now, every politician would appeal only. In High Court, there are how many pending cases? 60.69 lakh pending cases. Then how will any person be disqualified? So, there was a case filed against this section by Basant Kumar Chaudhary. And in that particular case, which was fought by the lawyer Lily Thomas, when she won this case, you'll be surprised that she was in her 80s, 85-year-old when she won this case. She passed away in 2019 only. And Supreme Court cancelled this provision, saying, what is this nonsense? The moment somebody is disqualified under 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, their membership goes away immediately. There is no need to issue any separate order for it. Are we clear? The day of the uh, person being found guilty of conviction, disqualified immediately. Whether you go and appeal, that's your personal problem. If you go and appeal and the higher court finds you not guilty, then we'll reverse the disqualification. But till then, you are disqualified. That is why when the matter went to Supreme Court cancelled the jail sentence of Rahul Gandhi. So when the 2 year clause was removed, he is not disqualified. That is why his membership was restored. Not that he is now not guilty. He still convicted, but now the jail sentence is not there. So the moment 2-year jail sentence is not there, he is not disqualified. Are we clear on this? Everyone, no doubts? Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's take a quick break. After break, we'll come back and we'll continue our discussion further on section 8A, 9, 9A, 10, 10A. Right? A small break only. Let's not waste too much time. Let's come back quickly at 7:15. Kalyani, if he is guilty, then why taking it back? Madam, you are guilty, but the punishment is a range. It can be from 0 to 2 years, including fine. So if you are guilty, you can be given a fine also. You can be given 1 month punishment also, 10 months punishment also, 2 years punishment also. Supreme Court has only cancelled the 2-year jail. Supreme Court has not cancelled the guilt. Okay. Okay. Let's take a quick break. Be back at 7:15 or 7:16. Full 10 minutes of enjoyment. Come back quickly, guys. Break, please. Okay, let's continue. Omkar, sir, if contestant declared innocent after the election, yes, yes, of course, that's his loss. We can do nothing about it, right? So, yes, absolutely correct. If you have been declared innocent later on, no help. Now, there are some other sections also. These are relatively easier to understand. For example, section 8A. If you are held guilty, if you are disqualified on the grounds of corrupt practice, if you are held guilty for a corrupt practice, and let me just remind you, this corrupt practice, the definition is under section 123 of RPA 1951. If you are held guilty of a corrupt practice, the same old story continues. You will be disqualified from contesting elections, but here, maximum 6 years, not 6 years plus, maximum 6 years, not more than that. Then, section 9. This is meant for people like you, government servants. Any person who has held or has been a government of India or government of state employee, if you have been dismissed for corruption or for disloyalty, then you'll be disqualified for a period of how many years? 5 years. In this case, 5 years. So, if you have been held guilty for corruption or disloyalty, you'll be disqualified for 5 years. Simple. Clear? So, in case anyone here is harboring some dream and hope of contesting election in the future, please don't get disqualified on the ground of or get dismissed for corruption and disloyalty. Properly resign from your job. Okay? Because if you are removed on these grounds, you can't even contest elections. 9A. This is just like an office of profit thing. If any person holds any government contract, as long as you are holding the government contract, you're not allowed to contest elections. Clear? Simple. So this is just like an office of profit. A classic example is here Hemant Soren, the CM of Jharkhand, from Jharkhand Mukti Morcha. What do we sometimes, you'll be aghast at the high level of IQ of our politicians. You know, so Mr. Hemant Soren, he was a chief minister, and while being the chief minister, he gave to himself a government contract, to himself only, a government contract. Everybody knows who you are. At least give the contract to somebody else, Benami. And he gave this contract of a stone chip mining lease on the outskirts of the capital of Jharkhand, Ranchi, 0.88 acres of land. Anyway, he had to give up the contract. He was not disqualified. He gave up the contract and he was allowed to continue to be a legislator. That's there. Then section 10 is just an extension of section 9A. Herein, what it says is that if any person holds any kind of post of a managing agent, manager, secretary of any company, any corporation, where the government has 25% shareholding, right? Then you are disqualified from contesting elections. As long as, why? What happened, Karan? 9A not clear. What is the clarity here? Tell me. So express the concern. What's the exact concern? whenever you are holding some government contract, you cannot contest elections. That will be a violation of office of profit. How will you perform your duties? Right? For example, the government has given you a contract to build a bridge. You are a contractor. You are holding the contract to build a bridge for the government. Then, as long as there exists a contract in your name, you are not allowed to contest elections. Simple. You give up the contract, contest elections. Are we clear? Karan, now is it okay or still some doubt? Okay. Same thing goes under section 10 also, that if you are holding some post, let's say you are a manager in a PSU, you are an AGM in a PSU, you are some GM in a SBI, etc. Any place, any corporation, any company where government has 25% shareholding, then you will be disqualified from contesting elections as long as you hold that government contract. Clear? Everybody? Okay. So as long as you hold that post in a government, in a company where government has some shareholding, or you hold some contract, you can't contest. If you want to contest, give up the post, give up the contract, contest. And then section 10A, which is very simple. So remember we discussing just a couple of hours earlier on election commission that it is mandatory for every person to submit their account of expenditure. So that is actually a provision. So if you don't submit the account of expenditure in the required time frame, that is 90 days for Lok Sabha, 75 days for Rajya Sabha, and you have no genuine reason for the delay, why did you not submit? Then what happens? You can be disqualified for 3 years. Are we clear on this? If you do not submit the account of expenditure and have no genuine reason for non-submission, then you will not be allowed to contest elections for 3 years. Now, a small point that some of you can raise is that, sir, this section does not mention what if we exceed the expenditure limit? Then what happens? That's absolutely true. This section nowhere mentions that what if I cross the limit, upper limit, the ceiling? What happens? Supreme Court in 2015 said that, see, it's common sense. If you cross the limit of expenditure, then also disqualified. So, plus exceeding the expenditure limit, then also you will be disqualified. Are we clear? So this is with respect to section 10A. And lastly, to sum up everything, whatever is the period of disqualification, for however long you have been disqualified, election commission can remove all disqualification, election commission can reduce all disqualification. Clear? ECI is the boss. They have to give reasons why they are removing the disqualification, but they can. Karan, who will verify the actual expenditure? You will submit the records. It's the duty of election commission to verify whether the records are genuine or not. Simple. So the ECI verifies. Parshuram, on what basis are the years decided? There is no basis actually. Kamapati, conviction rate under these disqualification provisions, is it high or low? Conviction rate. Uh, See, when it comes to disqualifications, let me just give you some data, which you will yourself be able to make out what is the current situation with respect to the MPs. So, in the Lok Sabha, out of 542 MPs that we had, 236 MPs have a criminal case against them. Criminal case pending. In Rajya Sabha, out of 226 MPs that the data was collected for, 71 MPs have a criminal case pending against them. In the legislative assemblies and legislative councils, 1723 MLAs, MLCs have a criminal case pending against them. Now, we'll see in future how many are disqualified. I hope you know what is going to happen. Are we clear? There are 40% of these total cases, 40% where the delay is over 5 years. Total is how much? Roughly, if you calculate, roughly 5100 in total. 5100, that means the former and current legislators, total 5100 cases. Former plus current legislators. 5100 cases, out of which 40% are pending for over 5 years. What to do? Voter awareness is very, very important. We have to make stringent laws. We have to set up fast track courts. Fast track courts which will deal with the cases, especially for the legislators only. Right? These are a few steps that may be taken to curb the menace of these corrupt, or rather, these criminal politicians. But again, eventually, it all boils down to how strictly are we following all these things, right? Um, Sadly, we have seen that Supreme Court makes all these grandeur statements, right? Corruption is not only a punishable offense but also undermines human rights, indirectly violates human rights, and systematic corruption is a human right violation in itself, which is a which leads to systematic economic crimes. You are referring to these as human right violation, because eventually always understand that corruption is paid for by the poor people only, not by the rich, never by the rich. That's a sad reality, right? Somehow these people have kept on winning the hearts of our people by making a fool of the public in general. And I'm sure some amongst you are also deeply impressed by the grandeur of events in the country that take place, which always push the attention of the people from the right issues to issues which may not yield any or may not result in any amelioration of the life of the common man, right? The government has no money to spend on providing housing to all, food to all, but they have all the money to, spend on grant schemes, etc., right? What can we do? You may sitting here can say that I don't vote like this. People are voting outside like this. That's why I said that it is not just your duty to clear the examination and also serve your family's aspirations, but also any true patriot, it's their duty to ensure that the resources are distributed to subserve everybody's good. They don't end up lining the pocket of rich and elite only in the country. That's a very important responsibility. What can we do, right? Anyway, disputes arising out of elections. If there is any electoral problem that you find, please approach the High Court within 45 days of result declaration. And in case you want to go to the Supreme Court, it's also allowed, right? Apart from this, apart from this, there are some other things. For example, when it comes to additional remedies, you can also approach election commission. Section 11 allows for it. Also, let me tell you, when the election commission gives a certificate that you are now proof of corruption, proof of disloyalty, because if you look at disloyalty here, what is the meaning of disloyalty? There is nothing mentioned. And if you are ever removed for corruption and disloyalty, ECI must certify that you have been removed for disloyalty or corruption. And ECI cannot give that certificate without giving you a proper hearing. PONJ must be followed. That's also one way in which people can claim some kind of respite from a wrong decision, right? That's also there. Okay. Now, some other provisions. A very interesting one. I think we had discussed this earlier also. Some of you had raised a concern here. So, since 1996, we have a limitation as per section 33, subsection 7 of RPA 1951. What's the limitation? The maximum number of constituencies from which one can contest, 2. How many forms can you fill for UPSC? Thousands of forms. No problem. Only one is selected. That's it. But when it comes to our amazing people here who want to contest, from how many seats can they contest? From 2 seats. Yeah, what happens if they win both the seats? Tell me. What happens if they win both the seats? They have to vacate one. If they don't choose anyone, then what happens? If they don't choose anyone, what happens? Very good. If you don't choose anyone, both seat after 6 months, both vacant. Gaurav, Shahid, Rajya Sabha lose. I'm telling, if they win 2 seats from the same house, if they don't choose, both the seats become vacant. Okay. If you win from 2 seats and you do not choose, intimate to the election commission within the time frame of 14 days. Sorry, Tata, bye bye. both the seats lost. Okay. And whenever there is any kind of vacancy, a casual vacancy, meaning a vacancy arising out of resignation, arising out of death, arising out of disqualification, in all these circumstances, what happens? A by-election has to be conducted within 6 months. Clear? By-election meaning one more election for that particular constituency only. Now we have seen the section 30. What is that? The conduct of elections, announcement, notification, nomination, scrutiny, withdrawal, beginning of polling, end of voting, and declaration of results. Then section 20B talks about observers in the election. Who are these observers? So basically, some senior government officials, IAS officers, are made observers. There are two types of observers. One is a general observer and the other is a counting observer. These are IAS from other states. And then we have police observers. These are IPS from other states. Then we have expenditure observers. These are revenue service officers. So who is this observer? To ensure the fairness in the conduct of elections, Election Commission will appoint some government official from other states to come to your state and not to conduct elections, but just to observe. The RO, returning officer, conducts the elections, but these IS officers will observe what is happening. They'll be given the task to manage one constituency or mostly one constituency, sometimes more than one also. And they will roam around here and there with their proper CRPF Jawans, etc. Right? And they will be given the task to observe if there is any kind of malpractice going on or not. And if they at any point of time find that there's some hanky-panky activity going on somewhere, they can ask the RO, stop the counting of votes. They can also ask the RO, do not declare the result. Why? Because they have observed that there is some kind of malpractice going on. And they can report to the election commission. And if the election commission finds genuineness in the complaint, it can also go for re-election, re-polling in a certain booth or the entire constituency also. Observers. Then presiding officer of polling station, we have seen that already. It shall be the general duty of the presiding officer at the polling station to keep the order thereat and see that the poll is fairly taken. And we have, along with the presiding officer, some polling officers also, micro observers, cameramen, who will just assist the presiding officer in the performance of the election duty at the polling booth. So have you ever observed that during the election, normally our bureaucracy is so lethargic. I don't want to be very critical of them, but still, they are in general deemed to be very lethargic, lazy people, not being very proactive in decisions. Slow pace of decision making happens. But during elections, never ever has our election gotten delayed, right? No delay, perfect timing. The same bureaucracy is conducting the elections. Look at these bank officials. If you go to a branch, let's not name any bank, you know which banks we are talking about. When you go to that bank, they'll always have some kind of funda for the most basic things. There are, to give you a very good example, demand draft. Demand draft can't be made in cash. It can. For a small amount, say less than 20,000, it is allowed. But please tell me, if any bank, any branch will allow you to have a demand draft in cash, they won't. They'll do some kind of funda there, right? You go to any bank to get the services, they are on a perpetual lunch break only in some cases. Link is not working, passbook printing machine is not working, some kind of excuse is there. Now things have improved. 10 years back it was even worse. But the same people, when it comes to in the elections, the performance of their duty, they are performing with impeccable integrity, outstanding ability. How is it happening? This section 28A. The problem with every government servant is they're afraid of what? Their salary being stopped, their pension being denied, their promotions being stopped, especially an IS officer. The IS officer is afraid of only one thing: denial of promotion. That's what is the stick, right? So the all the people who are employed in election duty, returning officer, if there is some assistant returning officer, any presiding officer, any polling officer, any other officer appointed, any police officer, all such people who are for the time being given to the election commission, they are on deputation to election commission, and they are deemed to be the staff of election commission, and during the entire election period they will be subject to, look at this, the control, the superintendence, and the discipline of the election commission. Are we clear? So one negative report, one negative remark in your uh, career file by election commission and your career is jeopardized completely, because no party is ever going to, whichever comes to power, is ever going to support that corrupt official whose behavior during the elections were criticized by the election commission. There are cases of employees not getting promotions for 10, 15, 20 years. Why? Because the election commission found their conduct to be biased in one election, right? So during elections, please focus, forget your party affiliations, work sincerely, and save your post. Clear? Section 28A. Lastly, model code of conduct, a very simple, easy topic to understand. See, model code of conduct is not some law. Ideally, elections are seen as a very aggressive activity by parties, very aggressive, always fighting. And the parties fight with no holds barred approach, making personal attacks, etc., on other people, which can make it a very negative activity and which can make the environment very negative. The entire atmosphere becomes very negative. So in 1950s, late 1950s, uh, the parties in Kerala said that let's do one thing. I mean, after all, it's an election, right? You win, I win, we are all working for the people. Let's not make the campaign so negative. Let's at least follow the basic guidelines or criteria of behavior that will never cross, come what may. The sportsman spirit that we call, right? Which is not there in some teams like Bangladesh or Pakistan, for example. So we should never cross that Lakshman Rekha, come what may. This idea was implemented in Kerala originally. Election Commission loved this idea. Oh, that's nice. And all the parties collectively agreed that okay, we'll behave properly. And in 1974, with agreement of all the parties, Election Commission came up with a concept called Model Code of Conduct. This Model Code of Conduct is defined as set of guidelines, only guidelines, laid down by the Election Commission to govern the conduct of political parties and candidates in the run up to the election, till the election, right from date of announcement till declaration of result. Till this entire duration, Model Code of Conduct, MCC is in force. So parties are expected to ensure a level playing field. Campaign should be fair, it should be healthy, avoid any kind of clashes, no conflicts, ensure peace and order, especially for ruling party, by pruning their powers, reducing their advantage. It's very important. So we have this model code of conduct. Now, model code of conduct has 8 parts. Part 1 deals with the general process of good behavior that is expected from every candidate. That while you are campaigning, please make sure don't pass any personal comments on the other candidate. Don't try to campaign in front of their house only, right? Don't make personal remarks on their family members, etc. Don't do all these things. Then part 2 and 3 focus on public meetings in processions. So whenever you take out your public rally, right, ensure that you take proper permission from the police. Ensure that when you take out a public rally, it should not be at peak traffic hours. It should not impact the daily commuter who's going to the office. Ensure that you walk on one side of the road only in an orderly fashion. Don't create chaos, right? How much it is happening, you know very well. All the rallies come out at the peak traffic hours only. And these local goons will wield a stick in their hand and command the traffic only as if they are the bosses. That's their day, 2, 3 days. It's like every dog has his day. Those are the people that's what they're striving for, to harass public for 2, 3 days. Right? And the parties love this show of force. Then part 4 and 5 describe how the political parties and candidates should also conduct themselves on the day of polling and also at the polling booth. So at the polling booth, don't campaign. Don't campaign for your party. At the polling booth, don't bribe the voter. Don't carry any kind of poster, any kind of symbol of your party. Because just before you enter the polling booth to cast a vote, if you try to manipulate the voter, that may have a lasting impression. For example, just before you enter the examination hall, we mug up some things, last moment revision. Those things are more likely to stay in our brain. Same thing here. So we should not try to manipulate the voter just before they are entering the polling booth. Take this biryani. Come on, eat it. Congress has given, BJP has given. Eat this. Don't do all this. It manipulates the voter. Then part 6 talks about the authority appointed by the election commission to receive complaints. So basically, what happens if you violate the model code of conduct? Firstly, what kind of punishments? There is no jail sentence and all, okay? Please. It's just a guideline. So punishments are very mild. Two kinds of punishments are given primarily. One is some kind of fine, which is rare. The more common punishment is not allowed to campaign for few hours or some days. 1 day, 2 days, can't campaign now, banned from campaigning. Various people have been punished. For example, Arvind Kejriwal was punished in Goa while the Goa elections in January 2017, when he was telling people, political parties are giving you 5,000. You asked for 10,000 and vote for us. Maybe he was trying to be funny. Election Commission did not like this joke at all. They punished him. Amit Shah in Bihar, he said that whenever BJP loses, firecrackers burst in Pakistan using religion. Or Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi did not actually make a very big statement, but still he was punished. So, in the same election, Rahul Gandhi said that BJP creates Hindu Muslim divide. He was punished. Or Mayawati, in one rally, she said in 2019 that Muslims don't vote for Congress. So, you are trying to use a religion card in election. Or in 2019, Yogi Adityanath, he used the slogan Ali versus Bali. So Ali, the reference to Muslims, the Khalifa, and Bali to Hindus, Bajrang Bali, Hanuman. So Lord Hanuman here and Khalifa there. So trying to pit them against each other. Who is stronger, Ali or Bali? These kind of things that they say. Seriously, I mean, you can be a fan of people, but of course, there is a limit to what we should say. Creating a divide in the country. Now, part 7 talks about the political party in power. It's very important because a political party in power has all the resources at hand to create an environment where the opposition parties may not get any fair chance to compete. That is why one such instruction under MCC is that no new schemes and programs to be launched while MCC is in force. Because when the MCC is in force, elections are around the corner, 10, 15, 20 days time. If you launch a new scheme or program, you are directly manipulating the voter to vote in your favor. So that is also actually that's an argument given in the one nation one election that because of frequent elections, MCC is in force and the government gets handicapped in the sense that they cannot launch a new scheme or program. So political party in power also needs to have its powers curtailed. And lastly, this part 8 has been added recently, around 10 years back, at the behest of Supreme Court. So Supreme Court said that we have to ensure that the manifestos. What is manifesto? What is manifesto? Election manifesto. This is the party's poll promise. That's what is the manifesto, election manifesto. Whatever promises you have made during the polls, they should be in pursuance to Supreme Court direction, meaning they should not violate constitutional mandates. So don't make any kind of promise which would violate the constitutional provisions. These are the elements of model code of conduct. Are we clear, everybody? Or is there some doubt? Yes, Niranjan, part 8 also covers social media, right? So, model code of conduct also includes social media campaigns. Clear? Nothing is outside model code of conduct. But one small point here. Model code of conduct is not enforceable by law. Are we clear? It is not a statutory provision. And the Supreme Court had asked ECI, let's make it a law. ECI said no. Because ECI says right now, whenever we give any kind of punishment to anybody, they follow it. But if you make it a law, legal backing, statutory provision, then people will start challenging the punishment in the court. And the court delays. Then the punishment will be challenged. Then the court judgment comes after 10 years. Elections will never be complete only. We want the elections to be done within 35, 40, or 45 days at best. So if you want that, let it be just a set of guidelines. Anyway, the parties are following our punishment, so there's no problem. Clear? Though, let me just clarify, sometimes you may violate a model code of conduct, but you can also be jailed. For example, if you try to, let's say, make a personal remark on somebody's character or behavior, that can also cause defamation. Defamation is an IPC section, so you can be punished under defamation law. So indirectly, sometimes some of the elements of model code of conduct are also overlapping with laws. So there you can be punished separately. That has got no relationship to the model code of conduct. Model code of conduct on its own is not legally enforceable and there is no need to make it legally enforceable. Are we clear, everybody? No doubt? Okay. Solve this question, the last question for today, and then we'll end our session. Take a minute of time, read the statement, mark the answer. Okay. In India, there is no law restricting the candidates from contesting in one Lok Sabha election from three constituencies. Of course, there is a law. What's the law? The law is called RPA, and it says that you can contest from how many constituencies? Two constituencies. So one is wrong. Remove one. Two has to be correct. Anyway, two is an impossible statement to know. From how many constituencies will you contest elections? Nobody knows. We can't keep a track of all this. In 1991 Lok Sabha elections, Devi Lal contested from three Lok Sabha constituencies. Yes, that's true. Devi Lal contested from Sikar, Rohtak, and Firozpur. That's the other story, that he lost all three, and one Vidhan Sabha also. He lost all four. That's secondary, but he did contest from three constituencies. As per existing rules, if a candidate contests in one Lok Sabha election from many constituencies, his or her party should bear the cost of by-election to the constituencies vacated by him or her in the event of him or her winning in all the constituencies. Tell me, when it comes to Narendra Modi, he contested from Vadodara and Varanasi. Yes or no? He won both. He left Vadodara, chose Varanasi. In Vadodara, we had by-election. Who paid money for the by-election? Election Commission, Government of India, taxpayers' money. There is no such rule which says that the party should bear the cost. Though we want a rule, but sadly there is no such rule. D is wrong, B is the right answer. That's it. We are done for the day. Are you clear? In the next class, we'll discuss some electoral issues like compulsory voting and electoral bonds. I just want to mark this slide here. So we have the concept of one nation, one election, which is being discussed largely. See, a question in UPSC has already been asked, but there's a video made by me. No self promotion here, no self promotion. Trust me on this. It is just to help you understand. Please watch the video. You can comprehensively understand the various aspects of one nation, one election, right? And you can also write the answer for this question later on. Are we clear? It's, I think, a 1 hour long video. Please take some time to watch this video. I think somebody was asking me, I think Gaurav or somebody, about this topic. So you can watch this particular video. Okay, that's all for me, guys. Just to remind you of the tasks to perform, please revise the PPTs. Please read the editorials on a regular basis. Please read the Yojana and Kurukshetra gist for August. People preparing for 2024, please read the monthly magazine. Please solve all the PYQs discussed and the 2-3 questions I gave you. Take the test also. Don't skip the test. And also, please revise the book Political Theory. It's my earnest request that come what may, revise over and over and over again. It's extremely important. Are we clear, everyone? Okay. So let's end our discussion. Gaurav, this is sufficient source. No book is required here. For my topic, mug up the PPTs, Yojana Kurukshetra Gist, monthly magazine. I assure you, you'll get amazing marks in your examination. The point is, will you do this bare minimum also or not? That's the concern. Anyway. Okay, thank you guys. Once again, let's meet over the next weekend to discuss the topics at hand, that is the elections. Then we'll have Part 1, Part 2, Citizenship, Union Territories, Schedule 5, Schedule 6, Article 370. All such topics are going to be discussed over the course of next weekend. Till then, that is all for me, guys. Jai Hind.